All right. In three, two, one. Hello, and welcome to Know the Score. I'm your host, Don Delarente, and I'm joined by my co host, the Libra icon, Dwayne. What's going on, Dwayne?
Not too much. It's another week, and we have football for the next 20 some odd weeks. So let's go.
All right. And on this episode, we're joined by a very special guest. He's going to help us review the AFC and NFC South. He is a Jacksonville Jaguars season ticket holder. He's my cousin. What's up, Doug? What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing, man? Great to
I'm
be with
good.
y'all guys this evening.
I'm good, man. Thanks for joining us today on Know the Score, man.
Happy to be here.
All right. So just a reminder that this is a CSPN production. You can find us on the web at www.cspn.us. So, fellas, we're going to talk about the AFC South since we got Dougie here to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, we'll start with those guys first.
Okay.
Jacksonville Jaguars, their key additions. They added guard Andrew Norwell, wide receiver Dante Moncrief, tight end Austin Safarian Jenkins, tight ends Niall Paul, and QB Cody Kessler, cornerback DJ Hayden, and defensive back Don Carey. Their key losses were wide receiver Alan Hearns, wide receiver Allen Robinson, and cornerback Aaron Colvin. Their key rookies are Taven Bryan, wide receiver DJ Clark, and safety Ronnie Harrison. So, Doug,
Yeah.
nobody expected the Jaguars to end up where they ended up last year. The
Yeah.
whole talk was get rid of Blake Bortles. He's holding you back once everybody
Yeah.
got into the season and things started to mature as far as your defense being a beast and one of the best in the league. So coming into this
hmm
season, I know you're excited about the tight ends that you guys have added to go
Yes.
with the running game that surfaced this past season. So just talk about your expectations for this season's Jaguars team,
Okay.
and and how the losses will affect you as well.
Okay. Listen. My first of all, my expectation is a lot lower than some would think. Being a season ticket holder for so long, and being a fan, so I kind of temper my own expectations first. So
Uh-huh.
last year, we met my only expectation was to win the division. That's it. My only expectation this year is win the division. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't have an expectation of Super Bowl. I'm a realist. You see what I'm saying? But I think if you could stack up division championships, you in the right direction. I think we're on the right way.
Okay. All right. Now the passing game will take a hit this year as the two names in your passing game, Alan Hearns and Allen Robinson, both departed. But what are your expectations of wide receiver Dante Moncrief and Austin Safarian Jenkins and Niles Paul? How do you think they're going to help Blake Bortles?
Well, I think with Safarian Jenkins, starting with Safarian Jenkins, we have with the release of Mercedes Lewis, you know, Safarian Jenkins, we have a rangy tight end right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tight end now that can also block. Maybe not can block as good as Mercedes Lewis, but he can stretch the field a little bit more, than Mercedes Lewis could. Also, Niles Paul, the same thing. I've been reading now they've been splitting Niles Paul out.
Okay.
Um, so I just think with the running game, they're big guys, they're athletic guys. They can only help the squad right now coming off the running game because we're gonna run the ball, man, and then we're gonna run the ball and we're gonna throw the ball downfield. It's just simple. This is old school football. We're gonna force the run just like we did last year through that slew of running backs with Leonard Fournette. Uh, Leonard Fournette, golly, T.J. Yeldon, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, Corey Grant, and a couple other young guys we got right now.
Okay. Dwayne, I'm gonna bring you in here, man. Jacksonville really opened some eyes when they went up to Pittsburgh in the regular season game, and they got those 5 interceptions on Ben and hung that big number up on them, shut Pittsburgh down. So, what are you looking at for Jacksonville this year? Do you expect them to maybe get one round farther this year, maybe make it to the AFC Championship, the Super Bowl, because they were in the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, they definitely were, and they definitely brought my. They caught attention, mainly the defense, and the defense is really what made this team go last year. Saxonville was the theme, and they lived up to it. And and I think they'll definitely set the tone because in order to be a great playoff team, you have to have a great defense, and
Right,
Jacksonville has that, and
right.
they have that front four led by Calais Campbell, the U. I also am impressed by Jalen Ramsey. Um, who's on the other side of Jalen Ramsey?
AJ Ali, we call him AJ Boumaye. AJ Bouye.
Bouye. Bouye. There we go. There we go.
AJ
I do.
Boumaye.
Yeah. So yes. So those two, you got two great
Yeah,
shutdown corners right
yeah.
there. You have a great linebacker. Telvin Smith still there, right?
Yo, yeah. You got Telvin
Yeah.
Smith. You got
Paul Posluszny,
no,
or
Paul
is he
Posnelski
gone?
retired. He
He
retired.
retired. He retired.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got Miles Jack, Telvin Smith, and a young guy.
Fowler. Fowler too, right?
Dante Fowler's he plays DN. He's only a specialty guy, man. You know.
Yeah. And then you added Marcel Darius in the middle.
Yes.
So you have that as well. And
The only
so,
weakness, Hayden is the only. I'm not going to say a weakness. I just think I was the Aaron Colvin fan. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Aaron Colvin. To me, there's no better nickel defender in the league than Aaron Colvin. Okay, just
right.
hands down. Aaron Colvin had the most sacks as a nickel defensive back in the league last year. Okay, and the
Right.
year before last year. You know what I mean?
Right.
So his departure from the team, if there's going to be any weakness on Jacksonville's defense, I think it's going to be there because his play was overshadowed by everyone else. And
Mhm,
if you're not a fan of the Jags, you don't know who Aaron Colvin is. You know what I mean?
right.
But I am not mad at him going to get his bag. Where did he go? The Texans,
Yes.
and he's going to be on an island. So the Texans are going to be a force, man. I'm telling you. Defensively,
Yeah,
Oh
we're gonna.
yeah.
defensively.
That's
So we're
actually
gonna.
that's where we're gonna shift to next. But go ahead, Dwayne. Go ahead and tell your last one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last point I was gonna make. So in order to get to in order to have like a playoff run, the defense is the anchor. There's a lot of better additions for this Jaguars team
Yeah.
than subtractions. They
Yes.
maintain their core, and then as long as you have a game manager, I want to
Whoa,
say,
whoa, whoa,
hey,
whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm just teasing, man. I feel like
so
that was a
yeah.
shot.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna say as long as
Well,
you have a lot. Go
let me
ahead.
let me think of it like this. Blake Bortles, right? Since we did going there, I'm a fan. Okay, I watched the maturation of this guy. You know what I mean? If he has protection and he had a good solid guard, which we got this year, he's going to shine this
Yes,
year.
yes, I already
He's going
know.
to
I'm kind of
shine
mad
this year.
about that.
Yeah. You must be a Panther fan. Sorry, brother.
I
But
am. I am.
I think he's going to shine this year. Even with you think Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson, we made it to the AFC Championship game without either of them guys last year.
This is true.
Allen Robinson went out the first game of the season for the whole season. Allen Hurns been in and out. I think he didn't really start playing until we got into the playoffs.
Right.
So I don't really think, with the wide receiver squad, you didn't even talk about wide receivers right now. You got DJ Chark, who by the way, just in practice this week, scored 3 touchdowns on Jalen Ramsey. You know what I mean? So you still have DJ Chark, Marquise Lee, Rashad Green, who no one's ever seen play, but he's on our team. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm looking for the emergence of Rashad Green this year, as well as Dante Moncrief.
Right.
Dante Moncrief is going to spread the field. I think with the run game, running that ball, I think it'll open up with Jacksonville, and I think it'll make some plays available for Blake Bortles to show what he can really do. And then I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Dwayne,
All
you
right.
want to jump back in on one more thing though?
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say before. Okay. So I was gonna say as long as you got a game managing quarterback, you have the running game, which is very dynamic.
Yes.
You have Fournette and Yeldon, and that's a nice 1-2 punch there.
Mm.
And also, one of my favorite receivers that emerged while Hearns and Robinson were out with Rudy Westbrook. And
Yes, I forgot about him.
so,
Yes,
and
D Westbrook will
so,
be the man.
and so, I think as long as these guys stay healthy, Jacksonville has a definite shot to repeat what they did last year, and
Yeah,
who knows, maybe even get over that hump in Foxborough, known
right,
as the Patriots.
right,
So
right. I believe if ooh, let me cross my heart. Injuries would be the failure. You know what I mean? Even though we're a pretty deep team right now, I think injuries would be the thing that would just derail this team because they have the right mindset right now. They're ready to rock. You
right,
know, not saying none of the other teams are. I'm just sitting here and I see it every day, and I'm a fan, so I'm all about it.
right.
So we're gonna move over to probably the team that will be the most maybe exciting team. Everybody have the most eyes on them. The Houston
Uh-huh.
Texans.
Yes.
They added Tyrann Mathieu. They added Aaron Colvin from the Jacksonville Jaguars that we talked about. They added guard Zach Fulton, another guard Sino Clemente, offensive tackle Centrell Henderson, wide receiver Sammy Coates, and quarterback Brandon Wheaton. Their key losses were right tackle Derek Newton and tight end CJ Fedorowicz. They lost safety Marcus Gilchrist and linebacker Brian Cushing. Their key rookies were safety Justin Reed, center Martinez Rankin, and tight end Jordan Atkins. So Dwayne will bring you in on the Texans. Let's add key additions being Deshaun Watson, as he's going to be coming back off of ACL tear last year. So I think a lot of people are expecting at least a lot of explosiveness as far as offense from the Texans this upcoming year. But I'm going to ask you, can their defense rebound? This team had really been built on defense, was holding them up for most of their years with Bill O'Brien. But last year, their defense kind of fell off when they finally got a quarterback. And they
Well,
kind
the
of
defense felt. Yeah, well, the defense felt. Yeah, my fault. The defense fell off because they were. I mean, if you ever see Madden and all the crosses, everybody had crosses next to their name, like the key players, like J.J. Watt is back, Whitney
right,
Merciless was out,
right.
and so you had a lot of key guys that were out, and as a result, this defense fell off so much. There's only
That's
so
a
much
possibility.
that
You can
Kareem
overcome.
Jackson, Jonathan Joseph,
Mm-hmm.
and Bernard McKinney can do. I mean, so we know the defense was a liability, but it's all
Yes.
about the health on the defense side of the ball for this Houston team, man. They had to really get some players. I mean, we've been waiting on that Clowney and Watt outside duo for many years, but they have not played that many games together, if we're being honest. So,
Right.
um, so it's really hard for to say that the defensive liability when your main defensive guys are out, and
Right.
Right.
so now
And,
with
and,
the
and oh,
but
I didn't. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
yeah, so and then with the offensive side of the ball, I mean, you got Watson coming back, you got a potential three-headed running back monster and Lamar Miller,
Yes.
Deontay Foreman, and
Yes.
Alfred Blue, depending on what they
Yes.
do. And then you got DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller, because Will Fuller was one of Deshaun Watson's favorite targets. And when he went down, we did not hear from Will Fuller that much again. So,
Yeah, my
uh,
fantasy team suffers for that.
right. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting once Watson comes back. I think they are the biggest threat to the Jaguars in the division. I think Jacksonville has the upper hand because of their establishments, but we'll we'll leave it. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Doug, jump in. This is the reason kind of why I wanted to have somebody who was inside the division because
Right.
not only do you know your own team, you know
Yeah,
who
of
you play
course.
against too. So, talk about, like Dwayne was mentioning, the Texans defense did suffer a lot of injuries to a lot of their
Yeah.
main guys. So talk about the threat that they pose to Jacksonville's throne, and
Right.
who you fear, and on their team, and who do you think that you guys can take advantage of on their team as well.
Um, I'm gonna jump out there. I fear, and I think we could take advantage of this guy at the same time. Is Deshaun Watson? I fear him, but at the same time, I believe my defense is fast enough and good enough to hold him at times. You won't be able to completely hold him. I fear Tyrann Matthews. Okay, I fear Aaron Colvin. You know what I mean? Uh, uh, Clowney, all these guys. But let me ask you guys something. I'm not too sure of. I can't remember. When was Wade Phillips last season?
He moved on from them
2 years
last
ago.
year. Yeah,
He didn't. He didn't coach them last year, right?
right.
So that was another outside of your injuries. That was another key weakness in that team. Is no Wade Phillips on defensively. You changing systems, and I felt we kind of took advantage of that at one point in time, especially in the beginning of the season when we beat them so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You took advantage of their scheme. As the Jaguars, but listen, if it's any team, I'm not gonna say that because we got a powerhouse division depending on Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Texans. Look, I don't even know what to think honestly, brother. I just know that they're going to be some contenders, man, because they got the wide receivers, they got the running backs, they definitely got the quarterback of the future. I see us battling with these guys for the next at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
Then you
this is
add
going
them.
to be those are going to be the definite offense versus defense matchups that everybody's
Yes.
going to tune in for.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And it's also just amazing how just a few years the AFC South went from the laughing stock to
Right.
one of the better divisions in football, kind of like the NFC South.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So you mentioned Andrew Luck and the Colts, so we'll move on
Yeah.
to them. So they added head coach Frank Wright, tight end Eric Ebron, wide receiver Ryan Grant, guard Matt Slauson, offensive tackle Austin Howard, and defensive end Danico Autry. Their key losses were Frank Gore, Dante Moncrief, linebacker Markevius Bingo, linebacker John Bostic, defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins, and cornerback Rashad Melvin. Their key rookies, guard Quentin Nelson, guard Braden Smith, outside linebacker Darius Leonard, defensive end Kamiko Toure, and defensive end Taekwon Lewis. So we'll bring you in again, Doug, to talk about the Colts. Everything is definitely going to be based on Andrew Luck's health. He's finally been able to throw the ball farther than 10 yards, and it's a real football and not another football. And he's taking part in all the training camp activities. So this team is really a wild card because they have a whole new regime coming in. They have new coach, new defense. So nobody has any real film on what Frank Wright is going to be as a coach. I mean, they can look at the Eagles, films, but I mean, different players and different scheme, tailored to his players. So talk about your expectations for the Colts. Do you feel that they're a team that's laying in the weeds, or do you think that they may be in the top of the draft again just because of the new coach and so much turnover?
Well, I think the Colts are one team, and then again, as we watch the NFL evolve, okay, as I say evolve, you have young coaches that are dynamic that come in and turn teams around. You have all kind of schemes, and where coaches, if they're good enough, if they're good teachers, they could come in and turn a sorry team around overnight. So I'm looking for that to happen with the Colts. Honestly, I think like you said, Don, with no film or no nothing, they're going to come out of the gate smacking people in the mouth because people are underestimating them, and it's in my division as well. So I kind of temper what I think is going to happen because I'm unsure. They're just a wild card for me right now. It's kind of hard to say because I don't have any history with this new regime.
Right. I think a lot of people are going to look at the loss of Frank Gore as a really big loss because he was probably the most consistent player on their team.
On the team, right.
Last year and through the past couple of years, to be honest, with all the, Andrew Luck being in and out of the lineup. So I think, if they can find something at running back to kind of shore up and not leave Andrew Luck out there to get hit, because their offensive line has also been a point of concern for them for several years. If they can kind of ease that up with a good running game, they may be able to, just have Andrew Luck make, 10 or 15 throws he's got to make. And if he can complete 12 of them or, 8 of them, out of those, must-have throws, then, that can be the success for them to win. So, Dwayne, let me bring you in here.
Oh, I hate to cut in. Let me make one sidebar.
Okay.
As Jacksonville fans, we would rather see. This is the consensus in the city. We would rather see Andrew Luck than Jacoby Brissett.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's become that Andrew Luck is falling off that cliff, huh?
Yeah. They're already like, okay, we're going to eat Andrew Luck up. We're not. Andrew Luck's a great quarterback to me. I just think, he's scary. I'm not sleeping on him one bit. But I think that here the fans here are like, okay, we're going to smash him. He's going to get in. We're going to hurt him. But, what kind of system is going to be in play for Jacoby Brissett? Because there's always going to be that possibility. He may be their starter sometime this season.
Right. Yeah, because I've always said the quarterback doesn't have to be a quote-unquote scrambler or be able to run 4.3 like Michael Vick did. But he just got to be able to get out of the way. And Andrew Luck he can, but recently he hasn't proven that he can get out of the way. But Jacoby Brissett can definitely get out of the way and make some plays. So I understand where the fans may be thinking that it's going to be hunting season with Andrew Luck just standing back there kind of stationary. So, Dwayne, I'm going to get you in on the Colts. Frank Reich coming in from the Eagles. You can assume that they're going to try to have a lot of this, run pass option as far as offensive scheme where maybe Luck doesn't hold on to the ball as long. Maybe the change will be, more traditional West Coast 3-step, 5-step. He doesn't take those long dropbacks where he does get hit. Do you think that maybe the scheme can protect Andrew Luck more than the actual talent that he may have in front of him?
First off, shout out to Frank Reich, first quarterback in Carolina Panthers history. Now, secondly, I want to say this. It's going to really be the talent up on that line, I think. Yeah, the scheme may help a little bit in getting the ball out quicker, but it's really going to be one of those things where does he have enough up front to not run around for his life? Because that's really all we've seen Andrew Luck do is run for his life pretty much every single time the ball was snapped. And yeah, he made a lot of great things happen, but that also led to a lot of hits and ultimately his injury. So I think that the talent is really going to have to really, really be there for him. And if it isn't there for him, then we may be seeing more of the same. I hate to say that, but the Colts, though, they still have Luck, Hilton, Jack Doyle. I don't really trust Eric Ebron that much because he never really was a reliable tight end for Matthew Stafford. And so I don't really, he kind of reminds me of Ed Dixon. Maybe he'll have a revival of his career and won't be having Stonehand syndrome. But I think that, and also the defensive side of the ball, I mean, you don't have Vontae Davis, you really don't have an identity on defense. So the defense is going to be really the issue here. And then also, keep in mind, Frank Reich didn't even get the chance to confirm his defensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator came from Dallas through Josh McDaniels when Josh McDaniels was going to take the job, then he withdrew from the job. So this is something that Frank Reich's going to work with on the fly, see if it works. But this was a team that was really in a whole lot of disarray because of Josh McDaniels, and I agree though this is going to be a wild card team because there's nothing to go off on. I mean, you're gonna have some preseason film, and you probably won't get really much of anything until like the third game. But That's really about it, honestly.
All
All
right.
right. You know
Okay.
what? I want to sidebar on that too. I think that now that you think about it, you have a talented quarterback in Andrew Luck. Health is the issue, but talent is not the issue. IQ is not the issue. Hilton, same thing. Talent is not the issue. IQ is not the issue. Now, who is the running back again? Who are their running backs?
I'm not sure who they picked up as far as
Right, I
They
forgot.
got Marlon Mack, Robert Turbin, and Christine Michael.
Robert Turbin, and Christian Michael. That's right. Yeah. So they're like B-listers, you know. So I don't know, man. I think like you said, I think we'll see. But something in my gut tells me that the Colts aren't going to be playing this year either. Just something just tells me just keep my ears up, you know.
yeah, yeah. I
It's
think
just it's just there's so many question marks and just so much has been going on. So many variables, like you said. I forgot all about the Josh McDaniels. Just kind of threw them whole in all disarray, you know. But the coach is a pretty decent coach, man. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
I think that Quentin Nelson is going to be if he stays healthy, he's
Hmm.
going to be the guy who can set their offensive line straight. Like that'll be one piece they can say, okay, this dude's really good. Because
Right.
I thought that Quentin Nelson could have went to the Giants seriously at the number 2 pick. He's that good.
Right. I thought he was going to go to the Giants.
And if he can, like I said, if he can stay healthy and just solidify himself and be like, hey, I'm at this spot right here, then I think everybody else can kind of find their way, and that may be the whole
Hmm.
key to helping Andrew Luck stay upright. And anything can happen as long as he stays upright. They're going to be in the games. But like you said, I think Jacoby Brissett is a really good quarterback.
Hmm.
I thought that it was just amazing that
Hmm.
Patriots would get rid of both of their young quarterbacks who proved that they could play and win in their system. But so that was a steal for them. So they do have a good insurance policy if
Hmm.
Andrew Luck does get banged up or banged around and has to miss games.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Next, we'll move on to the Tennessee Titans. They're kind of a team that went to the playoffs as a second playoff team in this division last year, but they're going to have some new additions as well in the coaching staff because Mike Mularkey stood up for his guys, and that caused the whole regime to get fired. So their key additions are going to be Coach Mike Vrabel and offensive coordinator Matt LaFleur because the offensive coordinator was a sticky situation for Mike Mularkey last year. They have running back Deion Lewis that they added, or Xavier Safalo. I don't know how to say that. Suafalilo,
Hmm.
offensive lineman Kevin Pemafield, QB Blaine Gabbard, defensive back Malcolm Butler, defensive tackle Benny Logan, linebacker Will Compton. Their key losses were DeMarco Murray, he retired, wide receiver Eric Decker, quarterback Matt Castle, linebacker Avery Williamson, and their key rookies are linebacker Rashawn Evans and defensive end Harold Landry. Now, this team's coming off the playoff run last year. Marcus Mariota showed some, great dynamics in that comeback against Kansas City in that second half, where they, really went back to kind of what he is really good at, which is to kind of spread it out and let him have the option to run or pass, and he was making the throws down the middle of the field to the tight ends and everything. So I think that the thing that they're looking for the Titans this year is more explosiveness from the outside to get more of their wide receivers involved in their passing game so they can have control of the whole field. So, Doug, I'll bring you back in again since
Okay.
you're our AFC South expert.
Okay.
This is probably the team that you guys, had the most knockdown, tag out battles with, because it's two teams based on defense and running. So, you're
Right.
kind of looking in the mirror at each other. So,
Yeah.
who do you fear, and who do you think you can take advantage of when it comes to the Tennessee Titans?
You know, it's always hard saying when you have for me, I know for me, speaking for me, when it's hard for me to gauge or judge because of the fact that when you have a regime change, you're not too sure what they're going to keep or what they're going to toss. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like some of their strengths last year was Delaney Walker. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, is he going to be used the same way? Their strength outside of before Delaney Walker was their offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Is their offensive line going? Are they going to trash that whole scheme? Or because if Mike Mularkey didn't do one thing good with that team, I believe he put a scheme in place. They called it smash mouth offense or something like
Exotic,
that. Exotic
exotic
smash
mouth
mouth.
football.
Yes. So I loved it. You know what I mean? I loved it. And I thought that this is where the league is probably going to go. But it looks like this is where the AFC South is going back to smash mouth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that scheme they had last year, I think Mike Mularkey's firing to me just came from left field. I don't know where it came from. I
I
just,
don't know.
They
you
want
know,
more offense, man. They didn't they don't
It,
they didn't want to
it,
be so simple. I think.
being in Nashville, it was Terry Robisky, the OC.
yeah, exactly.
He,
But what I'm saying is the issue is roster. You have to work with what you got until you can build your team. You know what I mean? They didn't.
yeah,
They all their offensive plays went through Delaney Walker
right.
and Marcus Mariota. You know what I mean? So, I mean, like a good bunch of the plays when it comes to touchdowns and chunk plays and possession plays. You knew you knew Delaney Walker was getting the ball. You just couldn't really do too much with him. You know what I mean? I think that from the outside looking in, you know what I mean? From my perspective, I was saying that I think they could have waited and got some more team, add a few more pieces, then nobody really wouldn't be able to do anything with them because we call it Pittsburgh South when it comes to the defense. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what we call it down here, Pittsburgh South. Because it's almost the same scheme as the Steelers, just a little bit of some other things. But the Titans are a scary team. I think Vrabel. I don't know. Something tells me Vrabel is a little too cocky for that job right now. You know what I mean? And just listening to some of the things he's saying, and just the way his mannerisms are for me, I just think he's a little too cocky right now for this job, and I think it may backfire unless he knows a little something.
All right. Dwayne, as you have such a personal connection to this team, as this is the team that makes most of your bread for you. So talk about the inside workings of the Titans right now through training camp. What's kind of been the news around the camp? Has Mike Vrabel, his press conferences like that, he said has been pretty confident in himself.
Right.
If anything else, he's got confidence. So just talk about the new regime and what the word around Nashville is currently for the Titans.
Well, I mean, it's really based off the Patriot way. I mean, Mike Vrabel's a Patriot, and of course, so that cockiness comes into play, being ingrained in that New England system and whatnot. John Robinson, the GM, he was part of the Patriot staff as well. That's why. When he got the job, Mike Mularkey wasn't really his guy. So that's one of the reasons why you had this random change. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Robinson decided to fire Mularkey or quote unquote part ways. We all know what that means. But this new regime, I think they need to focus on getting the wide receivers the ball more because you have Tajay Sharp, Corey Davis, and someone other than Rashard Matthews will need to catch the ball. I mean, Taywan Taylor was another one as well, and Davis and Taylor and Sharp all combined for one touchdown last season.
Right.
Just one.
Right.
And so, Delaney Walker was the focal point of that offense. Yes. And, when people start to converge on them, who's going to catch the ball? I mean, yes, Rashard Matthews was that security blanket when Walker wasn't open. And so the buzz really more, I think, is more on the defensive side of the ball. Because look at the secondary. You got Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Kevin Byard.
Yeah.
That's a pretty dynamic secondary.
No, they're scary, brother.
Yeah, but they.
And then the thing is, you got
their losses to Jonathan Cyprien. He tore his ACL in training camp, right?
Yeah, but what's the guy named never just replaced Jonathan Cyprien? What's his name? Is there a young guy? No, it's Lee. Who's out there? Lee, defensive back that nobody won't.
Logan
No,
Ryan.
huh?
Logan
Nobody
Ryan.
won't. Is it Logan Ryan that nobody won't pull on the team?
Yeah, I think.
Is it Logan Ryan?
Yeah,
I
I
thought it
think
was his
it's
name was Lee. Logan
maybe.
Ryan, defensive back.
Yeah, Kalon Reed.
Kalon Reed. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
brother. He's a. I, okay, Jonathan, okay. I don't know what they're doing because I'd pick him up in a heartbeat.
right.
Now the Cyprian's out because guess what? He's a better defensive back than Cyprian.
Yes, I would leave it. Yeah, I mean Cyprian is just. I think Cyprian was probably the liability of it.
You
Secondary.
know what? He was Cyprian is you can't find a fit in him because he's he's a tweener, man. You know
Right,
he should be a linebacker.
right.
You know what I mean? But you know, one-on-one matchups, he's toast every time, 100%, man.
Every time.
In the zone, he's toast, man, every time, 100%, man. So it's just like, you know, man, run fit, he's dynamic. You know what I mean? Rolling over the top, he's dynamic. Man to man, he's a mess.
So
Yeah.
So I personally think that when you guys losing him, it did y'all a service because you know he's been a jag until he got to you guys, and he definitely was a liability for us.
when it comes to this offense, again, it's going to be a new scheme, but it's probably going to be based somewhat in the, well, I don't know, because, the Patriot thing is they may, if he can get it to as good as Belichick has it, where they just play the way they need to play to win. But I don't know. I don't know. That's another wild card. Again, they're going to be a team that's going to have about a month where coming out of the gate, whatever they come out with, teams are going to have to adjust to it on the fly.
Yeah. And then with Matt LaFleur and the success he had with Jared Goff last year, you only can wonder what he's going to do with Mariota this year. But you just have to have you got a great running back in Derrick Henry who really emerged late last season, and so I think when he came out, and especially like late in the fourth quarter, you put him and then Dion Lewis together. I think that'll be a nice little 1-2 punch there.
Shout
Absolutely.
out to Derrick Henry. Shout out to Derrick Henry, Yulee, Florida.
Yeah, Derrick Henry is definitely a closer. Like, use Lewis to, get him tired, come out of the backfield, screen, and run inside the sideline. And then late in the second quarter, you start bringing in Henry and start pounding a little bit. And then after halftime, we kind of use the same formula.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And then you sprinkle in a little bit of Mariota in there, too.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's dangerous.
Right.
It's dangerous.
Now, see, that's the thing that people don't understand about that type of offensive package, the whole spread, read option. It's all based off, can you get three guys to really be able to run the ball? You need two running backs and a quarterback to be able to establish running it.
And the wide receivers on the reverse have to be, good running backs too.
Right.
Because, our game and like the option almost similar to the Titans, we didn't show anyone until we got into the Patriots game that we ran a spread like that, option offense like that. And then your running backs out wide have to be dynamic runners because, the Titans have that built-in reverse option too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's the thing about the there's like only one team that has like everybody has film on them, and that's the team that won the division. Everybody else is like wild card. You don't quite know what you're gonna get just because we haven't seen Watson play a whole season. We haven't seen their defense play whole underneath their new coordinator and everything like that for the Texans. And then you had two new coaching changes for the Titans and the Colts. So this division has the potential, though, to be, a really tight division and could get two playoff teams again. So in wrapping up the AFC South, Doug, I want you to give us your predictions for the finishing order, not really the records, but, who you think is going to win the division and who you think you guys are going to get two playoff teams again this year.
Okay, first of all, I am biased. Okay, I can't help but be biased because I'm a Jag. But I honestly think the Jags will be number one, just defensive only. You know, you got a bunch of guys that never played together last year and took us to AFC Championship game. So now you have this core group of guys with some new additions. I say the Jags will be number one run game of last year. I think we continue on that. All the variables with the other teams lead me to believe that the Titans will be number two. I'm sorry. The Texans will be number two. The Titans will be number three, and the Colts will be number four. In that
Okay.
order.
All right. Do you think the Texans make it to the playoffs?
I do think the Texans make it to the playoffs.
All
I
right.
think it'll be the Texans and the Jags again out of the division again.
Okay. Now, Dwayne, I'll bring you in. And same question. Who do you think is going to win the division in your order? And then do you think that the AFC South will get 2 playoff teams?
Yes and yes. So I pretty much what Doug said summed it up for me too. Jacksonville and the defense. Look how far they went last year. They stay healthy. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it again. So I got Jaguars winning the AFC South. I got the Texans coming in second, depending on Deshaun Watson and the defense's health. And then I got the Titans third. And then I have the
Colts bringing up the rear.
The Colts bringing up the rear, yes. And then I think based on the AFC West preview, if Kansas City does not do well with Pat Mahomes, I say that the Titans sneak in and the AFC South may get 3.
Oh, wow. So you're saying, wow, that's oof. So you're saying that they're going to have a division with 3 teams that win 10 games?
I could say that's a possibility, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Boy, that's a good topic right there, Kansas City. Oh.
I'm gonna echo exactly what those guys just said. I think that Jacksonville's the class. The Texans are up and coming, and they're close. And then you can kind of maybe even flip the Colts and not Tennessee is definitely going to be third, but it just depends on how dynamic their offense is going to be. Can they overtake? Because those games with Tennessee and Houston are basically going to be the 2 games of who's going to get that second playoff spot. And if they can match points with the Texans, then Tennessee's going to have a good chance to not only make the playoffs but go really far because their base, if they can keep their running game the same and establish their passing game, then they got the formula to be a team that can win and win ugly if they need to and take it on the road, because they proved last year that they could go on the road and win, and that doesn't really happen for first-time quarterbacks. So this is Know the Score. We're in the middle of our AFC and NFC South previews for the upcoming NFL season. You can find Know the Score also on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and Google Play. So we're going to shift over to the NFC South. Dwayne, we're going to start with your team, the Carolina Panthers. They added running back C.J. Anderson, wide receiver Torrey Smith, wide receiver Jarius Wright, defensive tackle Dontario Poe, safety Denoria Cersei. They lost Andrew Norwell, Jonathan Stewart, Kurt Coleman, Charles Johnson, Star Tuolue, and tight end Ed Dixon. Their key additions from the draft are wide receiver Deshaun Galden and tight end Ian Thomas. So we're going to also add to their additions offensive coordinator Norv Turner, as he's going to bring in his style of offense. But before we get into that, Doug, I see you got to go, man. So thank you for coming on, man, and thanks for the shout outs, man.
I appreciate it, man. Listen, I will definitely be tuning in anytime, guy. I would love to join you, fellas.
All right, man.
I really appreciate this opportunity, fellas. You guys,
all right.
No problem.
Thanks, man.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, so Dwayne, we'll get into it, man. The Panthers, talk about, what you're expecting from these guys this year, especially Cam Newton's going to be a big year for him. Hopefully he can stay healthy. It's going to be a big emphasis on his protection. But, they lost Andrew Norwell, so that's going to be a blow to what they're trying to establish with him. So talk about your expectations for this year's Carolina Panthers.
Well, I think we got a lot of additions here, and don't forget one of the main additions is the new owner, David Tepper. Who pretty much has said that he's going to keep everything on the football side as it is. He's keeping. He's like right now, if it isn't broke, why fix it? Let's look at the 11-5 last year. Had it not been for getting swept by the New Orleans Saints, they probably would have won the NFC South. But
if you guys could just catch the ball in the end zone, you would have won the basically the playoff game that you guys.
Why we gotta bring up old stuff?
I've always been like, man, Cam Newton, he's not the most accurate quarterback. He doesn't really make it that easy for his receivers sometimes. And so, sometimes I'd always say, the quarterback could have done a little bit better. But in that game,
he did everything.
He did everything. He was on the money in that game. They just could not catch the ball in the end zone.
Exactly. And that's actually a good segue because that's one thing they went and got in the offseason.
Yeah, they really missed, even though he was a 50-50 player, they really missed the stretching of the field that I can't even think of his name now. God, who's your Ted Ginn offered them a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. And even though, he's not a guy that you would see, you can't run across the middle on 3rd and 10 and expect him to catch it for you. But if you get 2nd and 2 and do a play action fake and he's streaking down the side, that was a big part of their run that they went on the Super Bowl with. And they really missed that last year, not having him. So I think that's what they're hoping Torrey Smith will add.
Right. Torrey Smith, Jarius Wright, and DJ Moore. So Jarius Wright, he was with North Turner in Minnesota. And a lot of people, when North Turner left Minnesota and took that year off before coming back to the sidelines, Jarius Wright, I read an article yesterday, actually, early this morning. Jarius Wright was there. He said North Turner just really wasn't himself, and he said he's got a different energy about him now. Like he's rejuvenated. He's ready to go, ready to get back into the swing of things. So I like the fact that Wright knows the scheme from Minnesota. He knows North Turner's tendencies. The fact that Cam Newton's been really open and receptive to what North Turner and Scott Turner, the quarterbacks coaches, bring to the table, and add that to Devin Funchess, who should have boxed out and caught the ball in the end zone of that final pass. But like I said, we're not bringing up last year. But and then Greg Olsen, his health is going to be a factor, but they did bring in some tight end help there. Losing Ed Dixon, who improved on his passing, did hurt, but they ended up getting Ian Thomas, who's a rookie from Indiana, and he is supposed to be one of emerging as a backup for Greg Olsen. He's probably going to be one of the heir apparents if he keeps everything up. Curtis Samuel, his health is going to be, if he can recover from that injury he had, along with Demir Byrd, who was a dynamic returner. Christian McCaffrey and CJ Anderson expect a 1-2 punch. Expect McCaffrey to get more touches out the backfield, about 25 to 30 touches out the backfield, along with his receiving prowess. But then the defense is stout. I mean, we look at Vernon Butler, K'Wan Short, Julius Peppers, who's on the pup list for now, Dontari Poe, and then Luke Kuechly, of course. The secondary, Bradbury, Mike Adams, Rashad Golden, and Dante Jackson, 2 rookies that are expected to have a huge impact on the secondary. And then, of course, Captain Butler and is one of the veteran guys as well. So I do like this makeup of this team. I think the playoffs are very realistic. Of course, it's going to be health. I mean, health is always a factor. Making sure Cam is accurate Of course, receivers catching the ball in the end zone definitely helps.
Another team who didn't have one of their players catch the ball in the end zone, the Atlanta Falcons. They won the division last year, made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, and Julio Jones either lost the ball or turned around too late, but either way, did not make the game-winning catch in the end zone to send the Falcons to the Super Bowl. So they added tight end Logan Paulson. They added cornerback Justin Bethel and right guard Brandon Fusco. They lost defensive end Adrian Claiborne, defensive tackle Dontario Poe, wide receiver Tyler Gabriel, and tight end Levon Tiliolo. Their key rookie additions: wide receiver Calvin Ridley, cornerback Isaiah Oliver, and defensive tackle the Adrian Sinat. So talk about Atlanta. They're coming back from such a disappointment, losing in that final second in the NFC Championship game. We've got Julio Jones disgruntled, but he is in camp over his contract, over the escalating costs of receivers, getting paid, and he's upset. He's made his displeasure known, but he's back in camp. Steve Sarkisian last year was a big point of contention. The offense didn't appear as dynamic as it had the year before when Kyle Shanahan was in charge. So just talk about Atlanta Falcons, second year under Sarkisian. They've added Calvin Ridley, who's going to presumably be their slot receiver. So good luck to all the cornerbacks, nickelbacks in the AFC South. Talk about Atlanta, and can they rebound and at least get back to the NFC Championship game?
Well, they lost in the wild card, actually. It was Philly and Minnesota in the championship game. But,
yeah. The game before, the division.
Yeah, the wild card. It was actually a wild card game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, no, divisional. You're right. Okay, so, the divisional playoff. I would have been okay with the Falcons being possible 9-17, but then they had to go draft Calvin Ridley. That is going to be a scary combination, and I'm not looking forward to that because I actually wanted Calvin Ridley on the Panthers. I thought that would have been a perfect addition. Don't get me wrong, I like DJ Moore. DJ Moore has impressed me. He has impressed me a lot. But I wanted Calvin Ridley because I see what Calvin Ridley can do. And so, with that being said, you got Calvin Ridley on one side, you got Julio Jones on the other side, and you have Mohamed Sanu. Pretty much, you can swap these guys and line them up anywhere, and that's going to be a problem for, like you said, a lot of secondaries in the NFC South. I think that as long as Matt Ryan doesn't melt under pressure like he's been known to do, sorry Falcons fans, it is true. This could be very scary. And then think about it, you have that plus the 1-2 punch of Tevin Coleman and Deontay Freeman. Shout out to my fantasy team. Man, this Falcons team is just as scary as the Panthers and the Saints, and that's what's been making these three teams just so competitive because they're all right there. It's not even like a 1-2-3. It's like a 1A, 1B, 1C in Tampa Bay, and I think the Falcons have a great shot to get back to the division. They have another great shot. I mean, this is probably one of the best divisions, if not the best division in football. A lot of people may disagree with that, but just look at the teams and their makeup. They're stacked, and I think now that you have a year under the system that Steve Sarkisian has, the Falcons could be very lethal. And I think their defense is a little weaker than Carolina's, to be honest, and even weaker than the Saints. That's probably one of the reasons why they did finish third in the division, but they're still a force in the AFC South. I mean, they did go to the NFC Championship not too long ago, and the Super Bowl, we know they're 20-3.
So New Orleans Saints will be our next team that we review, as they added wide receiver Cameron Meredith, safety Kurt Coleman, cornerback Patrick Robinson, inside linebacker Demario Davis, tight end Ben Watson, and quarterback Tom Savage. The Saints lost tight end Kobe Fleener, offensive tackle Zach Strife, quarterback Jake Daniel, safety Raphael Bush. Their key rookies, defensive end Marcus Davenport, and wide receiver Traquan Smith. Now, last year, the Saints definitely had a revival as they kind of went to the two-headed running back thing, and it gave Drew Brees new life. And of course, Alvin Kamara was the offensive rookie of the year, just came on the scene and was just a terror. So Mark Ingram is going to be suspended for the first 4 games of the season due to violation of the drug policy. So it's going to give Kamara a chance to kind of be the feature back. Now, do you think that that's going to have maybe a lessening effect on his game to maybe start out the season? Because, he was more of a specialty player, and now, teams are going to already focus on him coming into this year. But now, as the starter, probably the whole defensive game plan will be shut him down first.
Agreed. And so this is where rookie Boston Scott will try to come in. And because the Saints want to keep kind of a young theme going, Ingram and Kamara were the 2 top guys. They brought in 2 vets, Shane Vereen, Terrence West, to compete with Boston Scott for that second running back spot while Mark Ingram is out. So I think, with that being said, it's going to be one of those things where, Alvin Kamara, they're going to focus and converge on him a lot more. And so someone's going to have to be that second dynamic running back that can catch the ball and can return the ball and, of course, run the ball. So I think now, go ahead.
I was just going to say, making switching to their defense, a lot of the fans of the Saints are really excited about the rookie that they drafted, Marcus Davenport. Undersized defensive end, but he's a demon coming off of that edge, and they think that a lot of Saints fans think that was kind of the one thing they were missing in that game against the Vikings, but they just didn't have anybody to kind of get to the quarterback there at the end of the game. So talk about what you think Marcus Davenport can add to the defense that was already really good upon the front line.
Well, think about this: Marcus Davenport on one side, Cam Jordan on the other. We know Cam Jordan is a beast, and it kind of reminds you of Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, how they operated in Denver. I think that will be the same kind of situation. You'll have Cam Jordan wreaking havoc on one side of the ball, and then Marcus Davenport on the other side tearing it up. So those are 2. If they are really high on Marcus Davenport like that, and if he gets to become another Cam Jordan, that's going to be terror for the rest of the division as well as the league.
Now, maybe the one kind of weak spot they did have on defense was in their secondary, but they've added Kurt Coleman, they've added Patrick Robinson. How do you think that those 2 additions will help the Saints? Kurt Coleman coming over from the Panthers, he knows the division, so that's nothing but a plus in that regard as far as helping some of these young guys come along.
Yeah, that's going to help. It's going to help a lot because you'll have Kurt Coleman, you'll have Marcus Williams there, Patrick Robinson on one side, and Marshawn Lattimore, defensive rookie of the year, on the other side. So that does shore up the secondary. It does address the secondary's needs there. Kurt Coleman might have a lot of tips and tricks for the Saints against the Panthers, but he doesn't have Norv Turner schemes, so we may see some different things. Yeah, so we may have to see how that goes, but the secondary definitely, just on paper, a lot of improvement there.
All right. And we're going to wrap up the NFC South by talking about the team that's probably the most disappointing in last year's season, the Tampa Bay Bucks. They added this year defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul, defensive end Benny Curry, center Ryan Jensen, defensive tackle Bo Allen, and kicker Chandler Catanzaro. Their key losses were running back Doug Martin, defensive tackle Chris Baker, and defensive end Robert Ayers. Their key rookies were defensive tackle Vita Villa, running back Ronald Jones, defensive back MJ Stewart, and cornerback Carlton Davis. So right off the top, they're going to be without Jameis for the first 3 games of the season due to his suspension for improper conduct. They had a whole lot of issues with place kicking the last couple of years that have cost them games. They've moved on from Doug Martin. He was in and out of the lineup as far as his health and his production had dipped drastically. So talk about Tampa Bay, man. This is probably of your division, the wild card. Nobody really knows what they're going to look like. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be the starter for the first 3 games of the season. So, talk about the Tampa Bay Bucks and what your expectations are for them this year.
And I'm heavy side because last year I was so high on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, we both were.
Yes, and they did nothing but make me look stupid. So I'm not going to even give Tampa Bay. It, like I said, it's 1A, 1B, 1C in Tampa Bay in the NFC South. I'm just, it really, because I'm like, okay, this team actually looks like they're going to finally catch up to the rest of the division. They're going to be they're going to be some major players, and they did nothing. And I was just flabbergasted. I mean, and now I'm just sitting here like, I don't know. I just don't know about Tampa Bay. I thought, hey, I even thought, hey, Jameis is gonna get these guys. He's gonna make the division even more competitive than it already is, and he did nothing. So even with these first 3 games of Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, I don't trust him, man. I don't trust anything with Ryan Fitzpatrick's name on it anyway. So I definitely don't trust him very Ryan Fitzpatrick on it. I'm going to just sit here and just say this. Tampa Bay is a wild card. They are a wild card. I will say that. That's about as complimentary as I'm going to give this team. I'm not going to say, hey, they're going to do great. They're going to look like, because I said that last year, and they made me look stupid. And I don't like teams out here making me look stupid. So I have nothing to say about Tampa Bay. I will just say this, in the division, they always have those trap games, and I think Tampa Bay is one of those trap games because you think, hey, you look at Tampa Bay, yeah, it looks like a W right there. Then somehow they find a way to win. It always happens with the Panthers. I'm trying to look at their roster at the moment, and I'm trying to see like if there's anything that
you should fear.
I'm trying to, like, the only thing I would fear is Mike Evans. That's about it. I don't like anything owned by the Glazers. I mean, I don't like Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't like Manchester United. So anything Glazer related, I don't really care for.
And then you think OJ Howard may be able to break out by having Fitzpatrick a more, not maybe more talented, but he's seen more things in Jameis Winston, so he may be more apt to kind of check it down to OJ Howard than force it like Jameis would do last year. So do you think that would be a benefit to OJ Howard early on in the season?
I think that'll get him going. I think that'll get his confidence going. Because I really, he was on a milk carton last year. Because I was like, oh, OJ Howard, this is gonna be great for the Bucks. They ain't gonna look good with this dynamic player, and James did not get him the ball, made him look stupid too. Um, I do like the fact. I mean, you got was Deshaun Jackson there last year or
Yeah,
not?
yeah, he was there last year. Everybody but Mike Evans was on the milk carton last year when it came to the passing game.
Yeah, so that's what I'm sitting here like. I don't know, because I just looked. I was like, oh, Deshaun Jackson, but he was already. Oh, okay.
So basically,
Jaquiz Rogers is probably the only good thing going for this team, if we're being honest. Like, and that's not saying much on the offensive side of the ball because everybody was on a milk carton last year.
right. So we'll I'll turn it over to your prediction for the division winner, where everybody will finish. And do you think that this division, will pull off that unprecedented feat of getting 3 playoff teams again this year?
All right, so New Orleans is going to take the division again. I like the fact that they did not change much on either side of the ball. That had like a major impact. Carolina is going to be right up there with them. So New Orleans and Carolina are going to be the 2 teams. I think they're locks. Atlanta's going to be tough because it depends on the emergence of the 49ers out of the West, Aaron Rodgers' health in Green Bay in the North, and then how the Giants come out in the East. So I'm going to say Atlanta's going to be the one that they're a candidate, but I'm not going to make them a lock. I think the 2 locks, I'm going to say New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta, Tampa Bay.
The NFC is very interesting this year because realistically, you can make a case that every division can have 2 playoff teams.
Right.
And so, if you go into that premise and say, okay, Philly and Dallas in the East, if you say Atlanta, or if you say New Orleans and Carolina in the South, and then you go over to the West and you say San Francisco and Los Angeles. And then in the North, you're thinking Minnesota again with the Green Bay. So you may have to win 12 games to actually be like a wild card team that's off the beaten path, and you still might not make it because there's going to be so many teams you're going to have to jump. You know what I'm saying? If the premise holds true, because I think Dallas is going to get double-digit wins this year. I think San Francisco is going to be right there. If they might get 10, they're at least going to get 9. So, you're going to have to really play some ball if you're the Redskins. If you're the Redskins, if you're like projected 3rd and 4th in your division, and you really want to make some noise, you ain't going to be able to sneak in here with a late run and get 8-8, 9-7, and sneak in the back this year. Man. You're going to have to really come out and put up a 10 or an 11 or even a 12. If you want to knock off some of these teams that look like they're going to be there. So it's going to be real interesting in the AFC when it comes down to the playoffs. But, as we always say to this whole podcast, that's just on the paper. Everybody's, for the most part, healthy. And, but once the injuries start, things will start changing drastically. So before we depart from the NFL, we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame weekend really fast, as we have Randy Moss, Brian Urlacher, Terrell Owens, Ray Lewis, and Brian Dawkins being enshrined this weekend. So one of the most star-studded classes ever, as far as just name power, especially in the modern last 30 years of the NFL football. Of course, T.O. made all the news about not showing up and having his own deal and not being included in any of the festivities. but the show still goes on without a hitch, without him. So this is one of my favorite Hall of Fame things that the NFL does. They really make every guy feel special, and every guy gets a chance to thank all the people in his life that help him get to this point. So I'm really looking forward to this. I may fast forward the Ray Lewis speech, maybe DVR it, and so I can fast forward his speech. Over under on Ray Lewis, 25 minutes or 52 minutes.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna go over. He's gonna probably have an hour-long sermon that everybody's gonna fall asleep on and be like, "Wrap it up, B."
Yeah. So, a guy like I'm glad to see a guy like Brian Dawkins get in, because safeties are one of those positions that it's really hard for those guys to get in, because a lot of times, unless you're intercepting the ball, it's really hard for a safety to kind of make himself known. You can't just necessarily be a hard hitter and get in as a safety. So I'm glad to see that they recognize Brian Dawkins for all the plays and big moments that he had for Philadelphia. So that's one of those underserved positions in the Hall of Fame, safety. So I'm always glad to see safeties get into the Hall of Fame. So,
yeah.
Dwayne, we'll take one last turn on one last topic, and that's Urban Meyer up at Ohio State. He's had a rough couple of weeks here, especially this past week, where we had some allegations surface about one of his coaches having domestic abuse, history of domestic abuse, and then he had charges brought against him. Urban Meyer said that he did not know, and that he was unaware of the most recent abuses. He said that back in 2015, he did follow the proper protocols to, alert, the staff and everything of what was going on. But, this has resurfaced here, and he is on administrative leave, which means they're looking through language to probably see how they can get out from under Urban Meyer. So just talk about the fallout, coming down in the Big Ten all over the place in all of their athletic departments. Looks like everybody's got some kind of dirt going on off the field. This isn't like cheating or anything in the Big Ten, but specifically Urban Meyer. Yeah, just Urban Meyer, and this may be the thing that cost him his career at Ohio State and in coaching in general.
Right. Situations like this, very unfortunate, and all you can do is pray and support Shelby Smith throughout this ordeal. As for Urban Meyer, I don't know if he reported it or not. I think he's just doing it to save face and try to keep his job or whatever, but because we haven't seen any documents that show that he reported this, or he sent things out to his compliance. And it's one of those things where it may likely cost him a job. I mean, Ohio State, if anything Ohio State is about the image, and they, especially around the football program, if anything looks like they're taking a hit, or anything that looks like a black eye, they're gonna get rid of it. I mean, heck, look, they got rid of Jim Tressel. Jim Tressel was a god at Ohio State. Like, people still talk about Jim Tressel to this day, and they got rid of him. So they got rid of him. They definitely get rid of Urban Meyer.
And what's up the good look for Urban Meyer is, he was trying to distance himself from it and say, this newer stuff he didn't have any prior knowledge of. He thought that, once they had, supposedly him and his wife had some type of counseling with the victim and her husband, her dead husband, back in 2015. And so that's what he's, that's where he says his knowledge and everything. And that, as far as he knew, from that point on, everything was fine. But the smoking gun that came out this week was the victim said that she shared pictures and text messages with all the coaches' wives, including Urban Meyer's wife. And as anybody who's married knows, or been in a relationship knows, when something like that happens, your wife doesn't keep it a secret from you. She's going to tell you. So
Absolutely.
that's the thing that he's having a hard time trying to distance himself from. I think everything was fine with his story as far as Ohio State was concerned until the victim was like, "Oh yeah, Shelly Meyer, she knew too."
Right.
Everybody was like, "Okay, well, if she knew, there's no way Urban didn't. He can't cop that plea."
Right.
So
exactly.
Right now, like I said, he is not coaching the team through the training camp. So we'll see kind of what this, how far this goes into the season. I'm pretty sure to hopefully get this wrapped up in the next couple of weeks, either way, whether they bring him back or let him go. So we'll definitely keep you updated on the situation in Ohio State with Urban Meyer. So Dwayne, at this time, man, open it up to you for your shout outs, thank yous, and if you had a final thought, it's time for that as well.
Yeah, so shout out to the listeners. Thank you for listening. Shout out to the CSPN family. Shout out to our co-host Jesse and Tobias, as always. Of course, shout out to you, Don, always having me here. Thank you. And my final thoughts. I never was more ashamed to be a New York Mets fan than I was the other night. And so you know how you get Major League at Bat notifications, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at work here, mind you. So I'm already kind of done with baseball season as it is. But this was the final straw. 7-0 after the second inning. 15-0 after the fourth inning. I turned the notifications off after it hit 14-0. When I saw the final score was 25-4, any ounce of my fandom for the New York Mets for 2018 went out the window.
How'd you even get 4? It's a miracle.
I was just disgusted, man.
Well,
and
at least y'all got one of the pitchers for the Nationals demoted. You got straight up released.
But still, 25-4, man. Like Jose Reyes had to. I can't even talk. I can't even talk.
Serving up that salad.
Man, oh my gosh. First, 11-1, and everybody was healthy. I was like, something told me, this is why I never get optimistic when they get off to a hot start. 2015, when they got off to a big start, I didn't get optimistic until September. Because I know by June, something always happens, and they fall off. And I knew by the time June came around, when the Mets hit this slide, they were 11-1 to start out with. Since then, they have been 33-62.
Wow.
I am done.
Well, the good thing about baseball is there's always next year. Hey, Chicago Cubs have lived that for 102 years, man.
Yeah, I guess, but everything just seems like whenever the Mets do bad things, it just gets magnified by 10 million.
Well, it wouldn't be so bad if the Yankees weren't playing so good, because it's like the stark contrast.
Yeah, I get. That's probably it.
Yeah,
the Yam Yankee complex.
So I'd like to give a shout out to my cousin Dougie for joining us here on Another Score this week. Give a shout out to my co-host, the Libra icon, Dwayne. Of course, give a shout out to Nabias and Jesse. Give a shout out to everybody here on the CSPN who contributes to the podcast each and every week. You guys can help contribute to the podcast here each and every week by becoming Patreon members. You can sign up at www.patreon.com/CSPN Media. We have a couple of tiers that you guys can sign up for to help sponsor and support the podcast each and every month. There's a $1 tier where you can just put something on the light bill, as they say, or there's a $3 tier where you can get exclusive content, as we're going to have all types of new exclusive content from Ratchet Ramblings, Bad and Boozy, the WrestleCast, and all the other podcasts here on the CSPN. So consider becoming a Patreon member and going to www.patreon.com/CSPN Media. So my final thought would be NFL training camp, the worst time of the year for me. I wish that they could just wrap everybody up in bubble wrap and nobody get hurt, because I hate to see guys out for the season and they get hurt in these meaningless games. And with that being said, they're going to have a lot of new flags and new penalties this year in the NFL, as we saw in the Hall of Fame game. This new kind of, it's not quite targeting, but it's the closest thing to it that we can kind of compare it to in the NFL, where guys are going to have to, offense and defense, are going to have to learn how to, readjust their launch points and aiming and what they hit now, because it's going to be penalties on both sides. So in theory, if a running back drops the shoulder and kind of his helmet hits a dude in the chest and pushes him back, they could call a penalty. And, that's how a lot of these running backs score their touchdowns around the goal line. So it's going to be real interesting to see how strict they are at the beginning of the season with this rule. And, if it kind of, if they ease up on it as the season and the playoffs get closer, because, in the first month of the season, there's going to be a lot of fans upset about plays that change games that are going to draw penalties. So, Dwayne, let me bring you in on that before we wrap up. Just kind of, what do you think about that new the new rule as far as the helmet, not hitting the top of the helmet, not dropping your head, and it works on offense and defense. This doesn't work just for defense; it's for offense in theory too.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this rule gets enforced over the next few games in the preseason and the start of the regular season. I'm all for the safety of the players. I mean, this is a very violent game, but this is kind of also, of course you stupidly don't want to lead with your head. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm kind of just concerned about is, what if it, even if it's incidental, the likelihood of it being called could be magnified that much more. And so, player may not even be looking to, hit in that area, but it just so happens that, it kind of rushes up, and if it's significant enough, we still get called for it. I think it's going to create a lot of controversy, and I see a disaster waiting to happen. And especially being on both sides of the ball, like you said, that's how running backs get their touchdowns. And so how will it? How are you going to react to it, and how are you going to act at this point? I also think if they do enforce it strictly, that will prolong the game a lot longer. So we might be seeing kickoff times at 5 o'clock at the rate they're going to go if it's enforced strictly.
Right. So, yeah, it's just going to be something for everybody to watch going forward in the preseason and during this early part of the season. Just how they enforce this new rule, how tightly they're going to enforce it. Those bang bang plays are now going to be even more of a wild card now when it comes to the flag. I mean, they were before, but it's going to be even more now. So that's just something that I've got my eye on as going forward into the preseason and into the season. So, for my co-host, the Libra icon Dwayne, and thank you once again to my cousin Dougie for joining us. I'm Don Delarente, and now you know the score. All right, brother man. I appreciate you as always.
No problem.
That was a good one. It's a little longer than normal, but we had a guest, so that was good though.
It's all good.
Yeah, man, it's good informative stuff. So